All right, guys, what's up? Special edition of the Nailed It podcast coming at you today from Indianapolis. Came out here to hang out with Aaron and AK Indy Roof Company. We're going to work hard and place.
Yep, that one.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that stuff over there. We're going to work hard and play harder today in the studio. We got an awesome setup here. So we're going to dive into some business and personal development. We'll have some fun today. And we just want to bring you something different today on location in Indy. The Nailed It show, guys. Enjoy. Aaron and Adam are awesome. And definitely tune in, take some notes, and make sure that you share this out to our audience so that we can reach and impact more people.
And this is part 2. So yeah, you got to do part 2 virtually, or sorry, part 1 virtually, and then part 2 on scene here. So
there we go. I don't know what we're gonna do for part 3. We gotta step it up and do it like, you know,
Hawaii.
in space or something.
Hawaii.
Yeah, skydiving.
Hey, space would be cool.
5 minutes.
Yeah, space would be cool. Well, that's awesome. So why don't you just give us a little bit of your background? I feel like you're one of those guys that certainly very well known in the restoration industry, roofing industry, and all that kind of stuff. But maybe for some of our listeners, might be a newer name and face to what it is that we're doing. But again, thanks so much for being here with us on location in Indianapolis. But yeah, I always ask our guests, just start around 6 years old, and then we'll just progress year by year in your background.
Man, okay, so 6 years old, man.
He's just like harassing people. Start wherever it's pertinent.
You want.
All right, I like to. Here's a snapshot of right now. Joe Hughes own a company called Contractor Dynamics. We're a marketing, education, and business consulting company, and we service the roofing industry 100%. Been doing that for 13 years. So yeah, sorry, 11 years. 11 years. Started 2013. So grew up in New Jersey, Jersey Shore, fist pump, baby.
There you go.
That's where my family and I live now, by the beach. We love it there.
Do you got any cool pictures from that time where you like dressed like those guys?
I never did. That stuff exists, no doubt.
Did you like cut your hair that way and everything though?
No.
Come on, man.
No,
I'm gonna Facebook stalk you. I'm gonna find one.
Yeah. I'm Irish, not Italian. Okay. And I can say that because my wife's Italian American, so it exists. But yeah, that's where we live. Wife, kids are 11 and 9 right now, so we're
cool.
We're all in on travel soccer and baseball and all the things that you guys know, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pumped to be out here today.
That's awesome. So how did you get into the roofing space?
Man, just like kind of, you never look back and or you ever like look at where you are now and just like, I was thinking about it driving to the airport this morning, like how just different things come together in your life. And you're like, I never could have predicted that, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in my family's construction business in New Jersey and New York City, which is 130 years old this year. So they started in 1894.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So I grew up in that business, Hughes Marine Firm. So not roofing, like barges, tugboats, heavy maritime construction, and real estate as well. So I grew up as a 6th generation family member in that business. My dad and my 2 uncles are the owners still today. And grew up in that business with my cousin Brian and learned a ton, worked outside the shipyard for a bunch of years out in Brooklyn, New York. My first job was when I was 14. I went to Red Hook, Brooklyn, which is a cool spot now. It's kind of like a hipster spot now. Back in 1994, when I started, it was rough, and we were, painting tugboats and welding steel and driving a forklift, and I did all those things. It was cool.
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
That's a pretty wild story.
Yeah,
This is one of the coolest intros I think I've heard so far.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess I don't share it that much, but
well, let's spend some time there for a second. I'm very intrigued on what it takes to like weld and paint on tugboats. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I did everything except for operate the crane, which you need a license for, which that makes a lot of sense.
That's fair.
But everything, cutting steel, welding steel, driving a tugboat in our private property, because outside you need a captain's license and all that.
Yeah.
Forklift, like everything. And it was cool.
That's
because
crazy.
I got to work alongside people from literally all over the world. Philippines, South America, Europe, blue collar, New York City, blue collar, like working hard, like working really hard. You're out on the water in the winter when it's icy. You're out there in the summer when it's like burning hot. And I didn't always love it. But looking back on it, man, there's so many lessons that that I drew from that, which served me today.
What would you say? So I grew up in a construction background myself,
Cool.
In not anywhere near that, just home construction stuff. But there's always things. So like I even watch these YouTube videos, right? Like there's always a thing that you do to like new guys when they're starting out in different industries, right? So like I was watching some YouTube clips the other day and they had this thing where there was this new guy on the job site and they're trying to get him to start a concrete saw. And they're like, no, you got to run the blade across the concrete. And so like this dude's taking this big concrete saw and like running it and trying to like jumpstart it basically.
Yeah.
And I've had that done to me, those types of things. Like, so when you're on a shipyard doing this kind of stuff, like what are the pranks that they like to pull on each other, or like those types of lessons that you got to learn to essentially not trust your coworkers?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like the shingle stretcher, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I can't think of anyone specifically, but like Jay is the guy that runs the shipyard, and he's been doing that for 35 years, and he's awesome, great leader. And he's one of those guys. It's like, hey, here's a 5-gallon bucket of paint, here's a roller, like see you at lunchtime. And it was kind of like just figure it out.
Yeah, okay.
Like mess around and figure it out. There's only so much damage you can do with a bucket of paint, right?
Yeah. Right.
And we made a mess, but you figure it out. So I remember that, just like, hey, we're not going to babysit you. Like, just go do that. And
I think
don't get in our way. I think that was it.
I think what I'm hearing here is we were busy working, not playing pranks on each other.
Fair enough.
Oh no. So we used to, one of the things we did was, and a lot of my high school buddies and college buddies would come work with me. Just, pretty good money. And you could do like Christmas break, Easter break, summers, make some cash. Right. So we used to climb to the top of the tugboat and jump off, like in the summer, obviously, jump off into the East River of New York, which is, questionable.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in awe right now. Just out of curiosity, have you washed your hands today?
I have a great immune system. Yeah. That's questionable. So keep your mouth closed. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the only time I had heard of this at that point. So my roommate, when I moved out, I was like 18 or 19. I had a roommate. He came home. He got a job at a local dealership. And he was like, hey, I need to go buy an air gauge. Yeah, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but he's like, they told me at the dealership I need to take out all the winter air out, put the summer air
on.
And I never even heard this, but I looked at him and I go, you know that they're messing with you, right? Like there is no way that this is true. And he was like, really? And I was like, it's got to be, dude. Don't go. Wow. and then he came back. He was like, yeah.
You saved him.
Yeah, I did.
Good for you.
If it was you, there's no way. I would
but hopefully
he go get you a gauge right now.
Yeah. Hopefully he at least changed the blinker fluid on those cars.
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
Have you seen that now where so many people are playing pranks on like their wives or kids or stuff like that? Like there's a lot of AutoZones that actually now have where they'll just give it to you because it's like $2 or something like that. But like if you go in and ask for blinker fluid, they'll like give you a little, it's basically just water inside this canister that says blinker fluid. There's a sticker on it. It's hilarious.
No, man. I've been seeing clips though where like daughters are pranking their dad. Like, hey, I stopped by to, get my oil change like you told me to or whatever. And then start saying all this other stuff they charged them for.
Yeah.
And they're like, the bill was $1,500. And then like the dad's losing his mind. Like, you did what you know. And then the mom's like, what, you don't do that? And it's like, dude, they're just winding the dads up. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
I would bite on that kind of stuff for sure. I saw one, we're so far off topic, but I saw one where this girl she was like, Dad, the gas station had this coolest thing. They've got Christmas gas. I used the green nozzle and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, you put diesel in your car. Anyways. Well, that's really cool. That's definitely a fun, and I got to imagine tough industry to be in, and probably around some pretty tough dudes, and had to learn some lessons, probably the hard way in that environment.
Yeah, learning some lessons the hard way. I think the biggest thing I took from that, Adam, was really just empathy. Like working, like I said, with people from all over the world, who for them, like that's that's a dream job, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I'm grinding and probably just wise guy, little kid, teenager, whatever. But man, those guys worked hard. I learned work ethic. I learned to like appreciate that other people come from different backgrounds and have different stories and have different struggles. And I mean, aren't as privileged as me, really.
Yeah.
So really taught me a lot of gratitude and all those. I think about those things like almost every day. Yeah.
I also go back and I also think like, we're talking about the pranks and the jokes and all that kind of stuff. And I think sometimes people hear about that and like, oh, that's terrible. Like, why would you do that kind of stuff? Like typically in maybe, if I could say the blue collar industries, that kind of stuff, you're always going to run into those types of jokes and pranks and all that kind of stuff. But then on the flip side of that, those guys that are like giving you a hard time and however it's going about, whatever, they're also going to be the first person to come and run to your aid should you ever need anything 100%. From you're stuck on the side of the road, with a flat tire to whatever else. It's really is a strong connection with in those types of situations.
Yeah, I mean, men don't know how to communicate, so that's how we kind of communicate, right? That's how we bond.
Yeah.
Messing with each other.
That's absolutely true story.
Spot on. Okay, so you did all that. Then you when did you start getting involved in roofing and that sort of thing?
So yeah, it was I worked in a shipyard for a while, went to college, graduated, worked in the office in New Jersey for about 9 years, and it was awesome. I learned a ton about small business, everything, sales, marketing, HR, banking, like all sorts of, it was awesome, like a crash course. And I had a business degree from college, but like you don't really learn anything until you actually step into the real world, right?
Yeah.
You don't learn from textbooks. So it was awesome. And then I got to the point where I was about 30 years old, and we were having our first kid, just kind of reevaluating, like, hey, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Like I can do this for the next 35, 40 years. And it's like pretty steady and stable and, safe. Like it's not baller money, but it's good money, company car, benefits, the whole deal, like, made it. Right. And no offense to like, my dad or anyone there. I was like, I just had that entrepreneurial bone in my body. I just want to go out there and create something of my own. I started reading like Tim Ferriss and like different books about like lifestyle design and marketing and business. And I just got really into that. So it was the hardest conversation I've ever had to tell my dad, like, hey, thank you so much, but I want to go out on my own. It's like leaving the mafia, like once you're in, you're like, no one leaves. Yeah. So like that was a really hard conversation in my head. But
I was going to ask, was that harder just in your head? And then once you had it, he was like, thank God, I've been wanting you to get out of here. I don't mean it like in a negative way, but like, just, go get something more for yourself.
Yeah. Well, like I built it up for like at least 6 months in my head, like sweating. And like, finally I remember, I'll never forget, man. It was the day after Thanksgiving. I was visiting my parents. I was in their kitchen and I just went in, I'm like sweating and everything. And I just like blurted out whatever. And they're like, surprised. But at the end of the day, like I didn't have kids at the time, but I now do. I realize like they're great parents. They just want me to be happy and have a roof over my head. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So that was really hard, but I was like, just kind of want to do my own thing and kind of figure it out. So started Contractor Dynamics in 2013 because we had obviously had a construction background and had an interest in marketing and just kind of saw that gap for marketing in the contracting industry, which still exists today. So. So I still have job security. But yeah, that's how and it's evolved over the past 11 years into roofing. But we worked with a lot of different types of contracting companies. Just basically, when you first get started, it's like whoever wants to give you money, you'll try to, figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
Legally.
Sure.
Right.
Ethically. As one of our clients, Nick Forsell, do you know Nick? You know that name?
I don't think I do.
He's down in Dallas now, but he was in Jersey. And we became friends. He was one of my first clients back in 2013. And then he moved to Dallas and started introducing me to a lot of his roofing buddies and roofing companies. And I went down there for a couple of events and just kind of snowballed from there. And I was like, wow, this like roofing restoration industry is like gigantic.
Yeah.
And that was 2017. And we were like, you know what? Let's just stay in roofing for the next few years because it's so big. And that's what we've been doing for the past 6-7 years, I guess. Wow.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So just relationships.
I think it's cool too to have you on the other side of stuff because last time you got to interview us and we got to go through a lot of stuff. And it's cool to hear your story. And I think that'll be cool for a lot of people.
Cool.
To kind of hear some background on you because it's a cool story, man. And
we
don't know. We don't know. You're just this really solid dude that pops in here and there. We don't know any background on you, where you come from. So this is deep, man. I appreciate the insight.
Yeah, it's fun.
Totally agree. Also, before we move too far away from it, and especially because you used the word mafia, I did write myself a note here. Since you're from New Jersey in the shipping industry, I would like to ask if you know where Jimmy Hoffa is.
Ooh, he's definitely still called Giant Stadium.
Okay.
It's MetLife
That's
Stadium
where he's at?
officially,
Okay.
but they say he's under the field in
Yeah.
Giant Stadium. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's the
What are you nodding at me like that? I got to inquire about the conspiracies.
I think that's 2 days in a row that Jimmy Hoffa's come up with you.
Maybe that's, yeah.
Yeah, you already had it.
Are you looking to bury some bodies or?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll talk offline.
All right.
We'll talk offline.
Can't have it recorded.
Oh man, we were talking about that in the car yesterday. Yeah. That's hilarious. Oh man, that's really cool. So one of the things that we've just recently done in one of our businesses in Indy Roof Company was we rolled out this organizational clarity, and we're really talking with the team about making sure that what we do is on purpose. And Aaron and I had this fundamental belief, and it's not like we own this belief; it's just a true statement. But every business has a culture. The difference between bad companies and good companies and great companies are the bad and good companies, their culture is just typically happenstance. Like the bad company has a bad culture because of the water cooler conversation. The good company has a good culture because, they have some fun together and all that kind of stuff. And then the great companies are just really intentional about what they do, specifically about how they lay it out and all that. You're one of those types of individuals, as I've watched some of your stuff and just have gotten to know you, that you are in that intentional space. What are some of the things that from your perspective that are just absolutely critical to have woven in the culture of a business?
Oh man, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way though. I mean, we had back in the day, we never had a bad culture, but like if you are not intentional about building your culture, a culture will develop. Right. And we kind of had that. And I had a business partner, Tim, back in 2018 for a couple of years. We've since parted ways. But he lives in Arizona, and he would fly out to our office once a quarter to do, for like a week. And one of the times he came into the office, and we were at dinner that night, and he's like, "You probably don't realize this, but like the girls in that other office have kind of like developed this culture." And this girl, Jackie, was like kind of the leader of that. Like she was like the next person below me, kind of. She kind of developed a culture that was like, all right, it's 4:55, whatever you're working on, just wrap it up and walking out the door at like 4:57, right? It wasn't like, hey, we're just going to get things done. We're going to work hard. We're going to hustle. We're going to do whatever. And he's like, you don't realize it, but that's a culture that's developed here. And you're in this other office and you're not like leading that culture. That was like really eye-opening.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
How did you grab, so since you use that as an example, how did you kind of grab a hold of that mentality and then shape it into where you are now?
Just kind of leaning in, and then fast forwarding a couple of years, we've implemented EOS, and we're pretty pure with EOS. So a lot of people are probably familiar with Entrepreneurial Operating System. I think you guys kind of use a little bit of that too, right?
Yep.
Unintentionally, there's some similar components to the structures.
There's a lot of similar stuff out there.
It's not a direct EOS system.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So that starts with our 10-year vision. We have a 3-year vivid vision for our company that everyone is aware of. It's a written thing. So it's where our company is on December 31st, 2025, because we started that at the beginning of last year. So that came from a book, Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. Okay. Awesome book. For me personally, like I struggle to like project out 10 years. Like that seems like forever, right? But 3 years is like, okay, I can grasp that. I can see where we're going. We can build toward that in terms of like our team, our clients, what we're doing, our events, like our culture. So like everyone is aware of that. We review that quarterly as a leadership team and then cascade that down into the rest of our company. We have core values that we go over in our weekly meetings every Monday. We're a virtual company too. So we're all over the country. Yeah. And so we're virtual. We meet up at our events that we have, once every 2 months. So we have to be good at being intentional about culture, because if we don't, it's just going to fall apart. So it's almost like we have to do more work than like an in-person company to compensate for that. I think we do a pretty good job at that.
I think, and let me just tack on here, because what you said, and then you have, a lot of people in the roofing space that follow you. I was kind of in that same situation too. Like I had an idea of what my culture wanted, and what I wanted it to be. Yeah. Right? But I wasn't extremely intentional about it previously. And so this isn't something that everybody just wakes up and knows, right? This is stuff that you have to learn, and you have to go in and be intentional to set up these certain benchmarks along the way. And I'll give Adam credit here. He taught me a lot when he came in, because he came in from a large organization with leadership that they've been practicing these things for a long time, and he developed the skills. Nobody wakes up with these things. And so I would just say out there to everybody that's going through these same things, if you look at it, everything's not quite where it needs to be. Just start working on it. Start taking steps, put processes in place. And I will tell you what Adam's going to get into, this organizational clarity chart. It was hard work. It's one piece of paper, but it was hard work to figure these things out.
Yeah.
And Adam had some really cool exercises he could probably even share that we did to come up with these things.
Cool.
But if you're looking to adjust these and build a different culture than you have right now, it's absolutely possible. You just have to start working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think culture can be kind of this nebulous thing where it's like what is it, right? And I would say like just ask yourself as a company, like even if it's just yourself, like who are you and what do you want to be known for?
Yep.
I got those questions from my buddy, Mike Claudio, my former business coach. Like who are you and what do you want to be known for, whether it's as a leader or as a company, and that'll kind of like inform like what your culture is.
It's exactly it, and exactly the two components that we went after when we put all this stuff together. And I think where a lot of people miss the mark is they worry more about like what do we think people want to hear about us, and that's when you get like just the bumper sticker stuff of like, oh, honesty and integrity and all that kind of stuff and. Like, look, at the end of the day, if you're a business and you have to tout that your core value is honesty and integrity I don't want to offend anybody. But like, if you have to tout the honesty and integrity side of it, like, you're kind of missing the point there. Like that should just be table stakes, right? Like if you're going to have a business, like in my opinion, yeah, you should have honesty and integrity, and that's just woven into who you are.
Yeah, it's like contractors being like, yeah, quality done right the first time. It's like, well, I hope so. Like,
right.
Well, what else are we doing here?
Exactly. And so, but yeah, going about like, where are we at already? And then what do we want to continue to aspire to grow into?
Right.
Two huge keys.
Yeah. And aspire to grow into, like, you can look at other companies that are bigger than you, like that, like they could be huge. Like for us, it's like, it's First Form, Andy Frisella's company. Like they're, I don't know, $100 billion company. We're not that size yet, but
yeah,
we look to them as like, okay, what are they doing? And what can we kind of emulate? Right. So
yeah, that's cool. So how's it going with the 10-year? I struggle on the 10-year stuff too. I typically won't have more than a 5-year, just either personally and then even professionally, we've chosen to stick to a 3 and 5 year, strategic plan. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just, like you, I have a tough time with 10 years.
I do too. So we have one, but our leadership team challenged me to come up with to revise it and really give it some thought. So that's due on April 13th. We have our next quarterly leadership meeting. So that's on me right now to kind of, go in the woods and figure out what that is. Right.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have that very vivid one for the end of 2025 in terms of where we want to be and what I want to be doing on a day-to-day basis and things like that. But 10 years, I'm not sure yet.
There's a lot of variables that can come in 10 years. You think of it this way. So we are only 15 years away from when the iPhone came out. And think about how much has changed in our world since 2008 when the iPhone hit the market, right? And even 5 years ago. So again, give it 10 years, the vast difference between just everything in the world, and I'm not necessarily putting every change in the world on iPhone, but from a technology standpoint, holy smokes, it's different. Yeah, so that's why I struggle with it.
I think if you did make one, you would just need to make it with the understanding it has to be fluid.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally agree.
This is a general outline that I'd like to see now, but it's here for revisions as things progress and change.
And that's what we talk about with our team, with even with our 3 to 5 year strategic plan is, hey, this is a living and breathing document. There might be a world where we absolutely conquer this first strategic thrust that we have on there. And if that's the case, then we got to backfill that with something. And so this could modify, this could change. So I think being able to be fluid, that's the thing I think people get suckered into a lot, is stressing out about making sure that it's 100% perfect. And then they never roll it out because it's not 100% perfect, because they won't accept the fact that hey, this might change in 12 months. Here's where we're at right now.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people also look at just random numbers, or look at other companies hey, we want to do $100 million a year. Right. Yeah. There's so many companies that say that, right? Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Figure out what that is for you.
But also on that too, I would be looking at profits, not gross revenue. But to Adam's point, people do say done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's absolutely true.
Yeah. And for me, like one of the things I try to look at personally is like, what do I want my day-to-day to look like? Right. So like business, which I love, I'm never going to like retire. Right. Family, travel, like how do we blend all those things together and create that ideal life? And then the business is like the vehicle that not just serves me, but you know, our team, our market and everything like that. But like, I like to start there and like, what do I want to do? You know,
Yeah.
What gives me energy?
Yeah, that's important. That's extremely important. That's one of the things I've talked about in the past is finding what your purpose is. It's something you enjoy doing. And I always joke around, like, there's this saying, like, you know, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. And I didn't get that in my previous job before we started, you know, these businesses. And I was just like, who likes their job? Like movie stars, you know what I mean? And like, I swear that's what I said all the time. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, who likes to go to work? And then I started in the roofing industry, and I was like, oh man, this is cool. Like, I actually enjoy this amount. I help people drive around I'm able to talk to people. And I was just like, oh, okay. You don't have to be a movie star to actually like your job. And that is one of the culture points that I wanted to build is no matter what, people enjoy coming to work. People aren't like, damn it, I got to go to the office. Damn, you know what I mean? It's like,
so I think we've all been there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And it's like, it's not worth it. I can tell. So the last job I was in, it's my family business, same as you. I learned a ton. Yeah. It just wasn't something I connected with. But I did not go to college. And I did not get, you know, a business degree. So I was like, I was a really good sales rep. I was like, where am I going to make $250,000, $300,000 a year? Because that's what I was making over there. And finally, I was just like, when I left there, and I was like, I'm just going to start my own thing. I just had a mental shift where I was like, I don't care if I make $100,000 a year, as long as I'm happy. Yeah, you know what I mean. And then I started roofing, and then I realized that I was happy and I loved work, and so that is the most important thing I think for anybody is making sure that whatever you're doing, you do enjoy it, and you have one life here. You want to enjoy that life.
100%. Yeah.
I think one of the key components, if you're a business owner and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, that's great. Like, how do I get there? And this is something that we're seeing live out right now, is when first and foremost, you yourself can see yourself connected to something bigger than just yourself, but then also get your team to follow in on that vision. That's why I think this organizational clarity is so important, and, you know, having a mission, vision, values, and all that kind of stuff, because people need to feel that connection to something bigger than just them. And when you begin to put those components together, that's exactly what happens. Is now an individual, even a business owner, but even an individual within the team can see, okay, I am first and foremost a part of a team, right? And so because we're a part of a team, if I don't play my position to the fullest, the team can't win. Yep. And so I would just encourage anybody that's listening on that is, that's why I stress, like, just get something down on paper and then perfect it over time. But then people can start to feel connected to that bigger thing.
So let me ask you this, because as a roofing contractor, when I would go to events and listen to podcasts, there was nothing that I hated more than not having action items. You go in and you hear that, and somebody in my position would have been like, cool, what am I putting on paper? Sure. So let me ask you a favor and say, hey, can you give them a quick rundown for the people that may want to do this on how you came up with that org chart? And, like, you know, these are the questions that we want answered, and just kind of something for them to work off of so they can design these things and have this basis.
Sure. And I love how you phrase that, like, what's an actionable moment of the conversation. So for us, we would always talk about how good our culture is and all that kind of stuff in the business. And so we've, you know, the table stake was we have to be able to define what that culture is. Again, we want to be intentional because we want to be able to repeat it. So we're growing into new locations, and it's one thing, especially you talk about leading a remote team in different areas. Like, it's one thing if we're in the office together every single day and we can talk about those things, you know, over a cup of coffee and all that kind of stuff. It's a whole other thing when you got multiple locations. So that's why you got to start having some, like, call them core values, call them culture markers, call them whatever you want. But what are the key components that, all right, this is the part of who we are. And so that's kind of what I look at the core values as. The major components that we have on our org clarity document is our mission, our vision, then we have our core values, then we have our 3 strategic thrusts, and then we also have our intentional investments. So those are the components of this document that we put together. So we first sat back and we said, all right, what is our mission? What do we really want to do? And I don't have it in front of me right now, and I don't have it committed to memory just yet. We're working on that together as a team.
In his defense, and I never like defending him, I like harassing him. But in his defense, we just rolled this out a couple weeks ago. It took a lot of work and a lot of different things to go through to get to this point. So
this was like 18 months of work to get all this stuff together.
We'll give you the basic premise of it.
Yeah. So on the mission, for us, it wasn't, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here, Joe. Like, shingles are cool, but those are the widgets that enable us to do what we want to do. And so our mission isn't about like shingles or anything along those lines.
I hope not. That'd be very disappointing.
For us, it's that, I wish we had it in front of us, but it's really that we are.
Can you pull it up on your phone?
Actually, I think I can. Yeah.
Hold on. You don't have it tattooed on your arm yet?
Well, here's the thing. He's going to get it on his leg, actually.
Right, cool.
But here's the thing about that is, we went into literally, does this word make sense and this word make sense? So I would like
we've done that too.
So I would like for him to be able to read it directly as is. While he's pulling that up, I'll skip ahead for a little bit and tell how we came up with our core values. And not just picking random words.
I get that question all the time from business owners because we talk a lot about EOS.
Okay.
So this is great.
Yeah. So we got the leadership team. This was not just me or Adam or somebody. Like the entire team came off site. We went to my house, sat in the living room, and then we had sticky note up with the big ones, the whiteboard notes. You know how you stick on the wall. And then what we did is we made a list of our best employees ever. And then all of their attributes and what they did that we thought really embodied the company. And then we also made a list of all of our worst employees, and obviously most of those aren't here anymore, but any employee that we ever had ever, and it was like, what did they do wrong? Why did they not work here? Like, why did they not fit the culture, whatever it was? And we came up with, for every single list there, like what were the best qualities and the worst qualities, and what truly in those do we embody as a company? What do we envision our values that we actually work for every day? And so that is what got us our initial lists of about 12 things to pick from. And then we went through, and some of them kind of fit, because there's no wrong answers when you're doing this, right? And then so you go through and you're like, well, this one is kind of the same as this one. And we went through there. And then at the end of that, we had basically, we had 5 things that we thought were the most important to our company and what the people that were successful around here embodied. And then we had, the things that we don't want to see around here and what's not going to work. So that was a really good exercise that Adam brought up, that it wasn't like, hey, we need to pick some stuff. It's like, who are we? This is who we are. This is who we aren't.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's great about this, we always talk about, let's make hard decisions now so we can make easy decisions later. And so by doing this exercise, it puts us into a position where we hire and fire on culture and really culture alone. And I'll explain more about that. But when you embody these 5 core values, you're doing well. When you don't, and it's not like, well, no, you have to have these things to be a part of this team, because otherwise you don't win.
Yep.
And so we can make termination decisions based on that as well, and that's what's key.
Yeah, we do the same thing. It's like plus minus with all the core values with EOS. It's people analyzer. It's super simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to what we were talking about a minute ago from the mission standpoint is, so we listed our mission that we're dedicated to adding value in the lives of people we interact with. Knowing our influence extends beyond individual boundaries, we intentionally prioritize our family, our team, our customers, and our community. And we listed things in that order on purpose. So we've got this component that for us, really, really what we're trying to do is to add value to the lives of others. And that might come through increasing the value of their home through a renovation project. That might come through, one of the things I love, actually, I think today, maybe beginning of next week, we're releasing a customer testimonial where it was right after a storm. And this customer's talking about how he had tons of roofers come out to his house. He wouldn't let anybody talk to him about roofs, but one of our guys came out, Eric came out, and he said, knocked on my door. he didn't even say anything about roofs for a while. He started complimenting me on my sunflowers, and then the guy starts talking about how he loves these sunflowers and all that kind of stuff. And then so finally Eric gets around to talking about some. He's like, he just made me feel so good talking about flowers. Of course I let him on my roof. And so we did a whole renovation project for him. It's really cool. But it goes back to even whether we did or did not do a renovation project for this gentleman, Eric took time to add value to him by even just talking about something that he's an elderly guy, talking about something that was important to him.
Right.
And so that's an example of that.
Right.
And it goes back to the other part too, then also adding value to the teams, right? Like so our team here and their lives, and there are people that maybe came from a different position, and how can we improve their lives? So it's not just customers. I want to clarify that
completely.
It's everybody that we come in contact with.
Completely. So yeah, and Aaron's spot on, the way that we did that exercise to get to our core values, which is, again, just the embodiment of what success looks like. And not to say that we're perfect in those arenas by any means, right? There's certainly times as a matter of fact, I just came from a meeting where we were talking about this with some of the team. And I'll just use myself as an example. So if you've ever done strengths finders or anything along those lines, one of my strengths is that I'm a growth-oriented learner, which typically lends to being coachable and all that kind of stuff. So it's a strength of mine that I feel pretty good about learning and developing myself and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, there's still some things that, I get a piece of coaching and I'm like, no, you're wrong. You're right. And then I got to go back and really think like, okay, maybe I do need to soften the edges on X, Y, or Z or whatever the case is. So not that I'm perfect at it. I still have to strive, even though it's a strength, I still have to strive to live out this core value of being coachable myself. And so all of us are pretty committed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not missing the standard once in a while, then the standard's too low.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's a great way of thinking about it.
I like that. Yeah.
I stole that from someone. Can't take credit.
I can't even reference
that
who
was,
it is.
I think that was Chad. I think that's my boy Chad Wright. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So yeah, and then you're right. Like core values, they help you make decisions so much more easily. Like, okay, this person, like we had a discussion last week about a team member. We did a people analyzer. Okay, good to go. Should we go to this event? Should we partner up with this guy on this thing? Like, it's all about, hey, what core values? Like, what is that? It's like a board of advisors that you don't have to pay.
It's this, this North Star.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, we're consult the core values, see what they say, and then like, let's make a decision.
You got it. So going back to, kind of the original thing that you were asking, like, hey, what should we do and take action on? Like, write down what it is that you want to be, your mission statement, and then get to use that exercise that you just explained that we did from a core values perspective, I think is huge.
Yeah.
But then also have goals. And that's what our vision is more about, the goal side of things. And then those 3 strategic thrusts that we talked about, that's kind of how we're going to accomplish the goal. And so that's how we structured ours. But if you have this document or something like it, along with some written SMART goals, and let me stress that, make sure that you've got SMART goals, look up that acronym, you can make any decision needed for your business.
Yeah.
Hiring, firing, investments, expenditures, doesn't matter. You can make every decision needed to grow a very healthy business, because that's what we see a lot in our industry, right? It's I don't want to say easy to grow a business, but it's easy to start making a lot of revenue in this business.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're not careful, you could not have smart growth. And that's what you got to have in any business is smart growth, not just a bunch of revenue and then you start spending and not knowing what you're doing and all that.
I'll tell you what, it's made it really easy. And it's, like I said, it's only been like a couple weeks, but it's already came up like 5 or 6 times, where we're having a discussion on something and we're like, should we do this? Should we not do this? I'm not sure. And then Adam's like, well, does it fit our strategic thrusts that we need to get to our goal? Or what about this person? Do they fit the core values that we embody? And because those are truly the core values and truly the mission statement, who we are, and truly our strategic thrusts, then we're like, decision's easy.
Yeah.
Decision's easy. It's so easy. But if you're just looking at honor, integrity, whatever, that doesn't answer your questions. It does not answer your questions. So I'm telling you, it is difficult to do. It is difficult to sit down and you have to make a list for the mission statement. What do we do? What do we do every day? we go through this and we help people do this. Like we work with charities. We want to help kids, like whatever it may be, and come up with these things and push them into one mission statement that answers all of those things. And then you have something to look at to see if these things fit. So there are actionable items here that you can use to come up with it. But I just want to forewarn everybody, it's not easy, but I promise you it's worth it. It will make every decision that you make so much easier.
And we'll even throw this out. I know, Joe, you enjoy doing this kind of stuff. Aaron and I also do. Like, if you have a question about it, just reach out to us.
Yeah.
Hit us up in the comments. We'll have somebody get you in contact with one of the three of us, and even spend a couple minutes on a phone call or something with you just to kind of help with the clarity.
Absolutely. 100%.
And one thing to add, because I had this belief myself, and I think a lot of people do, that you have to be like, oh, I'll do that stuff when I get to this level, when I become a big company, when I have an office like this, right? Like, you don't have
Fool's gold.
Yeah, I thought like, oh yeah, once you have a conference room, you get the core values, they're up on a plaque and like all that.
Right.
Like, I didn't really know, right? But like, if you're a one man band, owner operator, you should do this.
And it can be fluid.
Yeah,
as
100%.
you grow.
Oh,
it
yeah,
can be
it will be
fluid. It absolutely will be. But it's good to have those set now. Like I said, the stress that it'll take off your decisions will be so much. It'll be so much easier. And on top of that, you'll make better decisions.
Yes.
Totally agree. And you'll constantly work towards your ultimate good. This is the biggest component of why I love this, is because no matter what, and you just gave the example where we're already making decisions based on, should we do X, Y, or Z? Well, it doesn't really fit the strategic thrust. Okay, cool. It doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means it's not in line with what we need to do right now.
Right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's put it over here. And
exactly. So we've got a parking lot where we put those things and hang on to them for later. But Steve Jobs said that he was more proud of the great ideas they said no to at Apple than the great ideas that they said yes to. And that's the thing as a small business, that you got to be so careful to not just like run extravagantly towards one direction and then change direction. When you lose that focus, you lose your momentum, and it can be so hard to even get it back.
I see it every day, at the roofing industry. It's like, oh, we're going to add solar. Okay. We're going to do this. Then we're going to go to this event because everyone else is going to this event. And it's like, why? Like,
yeah.
When you have like no direction, like everything looks like a good idea, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no filter for your ideas.
Yeah. Focus equals growth, people.
There we go.
Focus equals growth. That was fun. I mean, I could talk about that for about 3 or 4 hours. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
I love it. Honestly, that's what, it goes back to being like, that's the component of being connected to something bigger than yourself, right? And that's actually when we rolled this out, like Aaron and I, we told the team, like, we want everybody to feel connected to something bigger than themselves. Because listen, our business, and I say this ultimately respectfully to both Aaron and I, but we're in a situation now where, God forbid, something happened. Let's knock on the wood and do all the things, right? But God forbid something happens to Aaron today and he's no longer with us. Like, we're coming to work tomorrow. And God forbid something happened,
Wait. Can't get one day off? Not even one?
We'll take the day off for the visitation, I suppose.
All right.
But you understand the point that I'm trying to make, right? And the same thing, like, hey, God forbid something happened to me tomorrow. Like, everyone's coming to work. Like, and so even for the two of us, if that's the case, then it's the case for everyone. So we've got to play our positions really, really well on the team.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody took that like from a morbid standpoint or anything other than to say like, wow, this is really cool that we've grown to that spot where, yeah, this is bigger than us, bigger than any of us now. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that depend on it. It's not like, oh, something happens to me. It's like, well, sorry about the rest of you guys. It's all over now. Like
Right.
this is a living, breathing organism now, and it's got to be treated as such.
Yep. Fun stuff. So you get to talk to a lot of different contractors and business owners and all that kind of stuff. What are you seeing out there right now? So we're, a couple years post COVID and all that kind of stuff, still have, materials on a super high cost perspective and all that. What's something that you're seeing kind of the construction industry shift to right now, or are you seeing any shift in it right now?
This quarter we've been seeing a lot, I would say. We've been talking about it a lot because, we see it from our clients. We see it from like this in the sales department, the marketing department. And I mean, let's be honest, over the past few years, it's been pretty easy for a lot of people in terms of like contracting businesses, exterior renovations that were like an essential service, right? Just the boom in like, you know, free money, easy money.
Yeah.
People spending money on their homes and properties. Like you didn't really have to be that good as a contractor to like do really well over the past few years.
Right.
And now, like, I think we're at a point where like, it's just getting back to normal. Like, I don't think it's bad.
Right.
I think we're back to like a normal environment where you have to be better than just like just show up. Like you have to be proactive about going out there and getting business and your sales process and client service and just being sharp with your numbers and all of those things, where you could afford to be sloppy in all those areas the past few years and do really well.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, you gotta level up.
And also on top of that, I do believe in the roofing construction industry, competition is getting better and smarter and like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like before it wasn't like that. And I haven't even I've only been in the industry 6 years, and I've noticed a shift just in the last 6 years. And so I think you have to continue to sharpen your tools and grow, because other people will if you won't.
Yeah, I know that's like easy to say, you know, it's like you gotta do all. I feel it. We actually talked about this the other day. We're going to do a piece of content about it. Like the gap, I think, is going to continue to get wider because you have companies like Indy Roof Company where you're investing in your brand, your people, and organizational clarity. You've got private equity coming in to all these roofing companies, and what are they doing? They're 10xing their marketing spend. They're gobbling up market share by just marketing and putting salespeople in there. So you're going to have these companies that are just soaring to the top, and then the guys who do nothing are going to, like, I hate to say it, but probably suffer, you know?
Yeah. Business development is, it's like stepping into a river, right? You never step into the same river twice because the water's moving. So you never touch the same water twice when you're in a river. And that's kind of how business development is, in the same way. We're like, it's constantly moving. And if you don't, in some way recognize that, number one, businesses don't grow, people do. And you take time to invest in your team members and invest in yourselves. That's a thing that, like, man, my heart breaks for those business owners that, like, they don't read books, they don't go to classes, they won't jump on a webinar or go to a conference or whatever to better themselves because they know everything. Like you might know how to make the best whatever construction project, house, roof, siding, whatever. You might know that, but if you don't know how to manage your business within an ever-changing marketplace, it does no good on how good your quality is.
That's the E-Myth. I read that book,
Exactly.
E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber. That was
Completely
the first
built
book.
on it. Yeah.
First business book I ever read. You're the technician or the business owner.
Yep. Yeah, we talk about that book a lot because that's
one of the first business books you read too.
Yeah. One of the first business books that I read, and it's kind of become the Bible for everything that I get involved with at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing in your spare time and what you're doing to kick back and relax. Obviously, we love talking about the play harder side of things, and when we get to speak to somebody. But you mentioned travel and having some youngsters and that kind of thing. But what are you doing to kick back and relax?
Yeah, it's interesting, this question. Like, I don't have a cool, like, oh, I play in a band or like I play guitar or something like that.
No one ever has told us that.
But no, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff, but like, we love it. Kids are involved in travel soccer. We're going to be out in Pennsylvania all weekend for a travel soccer tournament. I think we have 5 games or something like that. So
I always think of
a day or over 2 days.
2 days, Saturday and Sunday.
I was like, oh my good God.
Yeah.
Those poor kids.
What's that one movie with Will Ferrell and Mike Dick? Anybody
Kicking and Screaming?
Yeah.
The
Anytime
Italians.
somebody
Yeah, it's great.
Hilarious.
Do
you coach?
I never got into the coaching because of this entrepreneurial thing. And I just, if I was going to be in coaching, I wanted to be like all in and not be like that, half in, half out.
That makes sense.
And for me, it's like family business. And I just, I support. I'm at every game, not practice, but I'm at every game, and love it. We absolutely love it. We live by the beach. So in the summer, the short summer that we have in Jersey, we're at the beach a lot.
When's your water get warm out there?
Not till like 4th of July is basically the benchmark there. Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll get in the water now.
Yeah. So like you would, if you're surfing, you'd want a wetsuit up until like July 1st. And then like August, September, actually the warmest. And then really till Halloween, it stays pretty warm. Like you can go in without a wetsuit.
You surf?
Yeah, we surf. Yeah, whole family. Yeah.
Good surfing, man.
I'm not very good, but
you enjoy it and
that's all
that matters.
we're going to Costa Rica in a few weeks, so we'll be surfing down there and probably getting our butts kicked. But
that's fun.
It's been pretty choppy down there. I mean, I don't know about recently, but like I think in general.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously it depends on where you're at in Costa Rica. That's a huge place with everything's different. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You got beach, you got jungles, you got
Volcanoes.
Yeah, volcanoes. Exactly.
We went to Costa Rica a couple of years ago, and with a small group, and some of them went to go surfing and came back, and my buddy Richard comes back, and his eyes are like this. He's walking straight up to me. He's like, they were surfing, but then they also took time to do paddleboarding and everything.
Okay.
So this one, they were on their paddleboards. He was like, we're out there. All of a sudden, the guy leading us just tells everybody to be quiet and to sit down. Next thing you know, this pod of orcas swims by. And I'm like, you're kidding me. This was like in early January kind of thing. I'm like, I didn't know orcas go down to Costa Rica, but could you imagine falling into the water with a freaking orca, which is just instinctively what you would want to do once you knew there's a orca swimming around.
Wow.
Not want to, but accidentally.
That's the Pacific side, right? Yeah.
I guess it'd have to be, right?
Yeah,
Because
it
that's
has
when
to
they're in
be.
their migration.
Yeah. That's why.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's
I'm not gonna lie though. Like killer whale, and I'm out there on a surfboard. It's got fin, and I watched the videos where they go into those icebergs at three, like together.
Oh,
like,
and then they'll flip them up.
they are organized murderers.
Yeah.
They come through.
The smartest creatures ever.
Flip them up.
Wow.
Then play with them. Like
There's a thing going on right now somewhere, like I think near like the Panama Canal or something, where they're like hunting boats. And like, yeah, I'll pull that up later.
Wow,
I'll show you guys
wild.
that. Yeah, it's
So anyway, have fun in Costa Rica.
Last
have
time
fun.
I surfed in Costa Rica was 2009, and I got in way over my head, literally. And I wiped out, and I fell flat on my ear, and I ruptured an eardrum. And that was painful, man.
Yeah.
And that was the trip that I proposed to my wife, and so we got engaged there, which is special for us.
Did that happen before or after the proposal? I'm just trying to imagine if you had like a taped over ear.
We're trying to put it together.
I
I think after, because I was like in bed for a couple days, like it was bad, and then your balance is all messed up.
Yeah.
Equilibrium. All that. So hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, I'm a little bit wiser. I'm not. I know I'm not better, but hopefully, I'm just wiser about what I can handle.
On maybe, or if you put earplugs, does that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just try not to.
Try not to do that.
Try not to wipe
You're
out.
like, I guess you can't. You don't have to go around the rest of your life scared because that one time.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. That's a horrible advice.
Oh man! But beyond that, I love. I work out every day, 7 days a week. I run marathons. I love running. So all that sort of
marathons.
stuff.
Marathons. I was with you until the M word.
Yeah. Well, actually, he was going to see if you wanted to go do an ultra marathon.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
No. Can you believe? So we listened to a guy called Chad Wright yesterday. This guy ran 35 hours straight without stopping.
Yeah.
Is it 35 or 36?
Well, that was 35. That was the last man standing. However, the 250-mile race that he did in Arizona, last year was 96 hours, and he did. There's a YouTube documentary on that, really, really good, called 1 Mile Out.
Yeah.
But he said he slept a total of 10 hours over 96 hours. But running 250 miles in the mountains.
That must have been when I went to the restroom.
That's it.
I think I would have remembered that.
He didn't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
That's there's a whole other story of that, but I've not done that stuff. But I did a trail marathon in Colorado in October. That was so much fun, man.
Yeah.
So hard, so fun.
We had somebody not long ago ask me if I wanted to do a marathon with him. I was like, heck no. I don't run. I'm the kind of guy.
I was like, no, ask AK. Knowing that he would say no.
Yeah, that's always a safe bet for him. I'll do it if AK does it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm the kind of guy I like to work out too and go to the gym, and I try to get some cardio in every once in a while. So I'll jump on the treadmill and I'll run for about, I don't know, probably 48 minutes or something like that. And then I'll look down at the timer and see that I've actually been running for about a minute and a half.
Okay. If there's a camera on me during that, you're going to see my face go. When I heard 48 minutes, I was like, all right. This is like that joke. I don't know if you guys see these things where he has the dad will have the kids in the background and he acts like he's on a job interview. And he's like, well, so I get up at 6 a.m. before everybody else. And then they go through this complete BS list of stuff.
Yeah.
And the kids are in the background.
Like,
that's what I was doing during that one.
No, you're right. The treadmill. I hate the treadmill.
It's awful. I'd rather play a sport, man. I can't just run in place. I don't mind running on the road a little bit. It still gets tiresome. I run 5Ks, and that's about the end of my running. Cool. But I'll play basketball or kickball, or
that's always fun.
That was a good roll in right there. So speaking of kickball, I totally forgot about this. We went out for our company retreat in Gatlinburg, And every year we have a annual kickball championship, and he picks a team and I pick a team. And unfortunately, we had won. Unfortunately for him, we had won the last 2 years, so he was like really sweating it this year because like I can't be, 0-3, but we won anyway. That's the end of the story. We won.
Just had to throw that in there, get that on a public record.
That is the end of the story for the baby boy kickball game that was played. But then the next day we went and did another challenge here, my man Joseph, and we went to play war games at a local paintball establishment.
That's what we're doing. War games. Hey, he's really got to hype this one up. All right.
No, we did play paintball, and my team won the championship game, and we feel pretty good about that. The trophy is in manufacture right now, and that's all I have to say about that.
He did. Technically, it was 2-2, and he made up the championship game, but it's fine.
I still won one more game than you because you were on the terrorist side the one time, and then not the other time.
That wasn't our teams.
Yeah.
That was.
I'm just telling you, I won more paintball games than you did,
right,
and
you
the
won
championship.
You guys need like a therapist or
Did
a mediator or something?
We don't like losing.
Well, did we tell you that one of our core values is that we're competitive?
Okay.
Which lives and breathes. Aaron and I take that one really, really seriously.
Yeah, that is legit. That's one
you have to.
One of the core values, man.
They can't just be on paper. You got to live them out.
Yeah, if somebody was like good with losing and like doesn't really care, like odds are they're not going to reach for that next thing. So yeah.
We're very much. Even my kids mentioned this. We watched Days of Thunder last night.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
Because they were watching Talladega Nights, and I was, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, let me show you the greatest NASCAR movie of all time. So we watched Days of Thunder. In the beach scene when like they refused to ride together and they're racing and one of them was like, that's kind of like you and Aaron, and I just laughed. I was like, yeah, it is like us.
Pull up, cars fall apart, smoking. And then they just start laughing, and then they're like friends. Yeah.
So, anyways, well, that's cool. Being a family man, I think that's a big part of why we do what we do, and in that mission where we say that we prioritize our families first, and we want everyone that works here. We're the same way. Like that's
them too.
That's why we do what we do. Again, it's not that we love roofing or anything. We do love what it enables us to do, which is have our families in the priority seat and all of that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
did you do any extreme sports or anything like that, or did you used to? Or you just always been a work kind of guy?
I've been an athlete my whole life. Typical sports growing up, and then I played rugby for 10 years.
That's
I don't know if that's extreme, but that's
that's pretty extreme. I feel like from the outside,
more than what I've done.
Yeah. So I started playing in college, and I played after college up for a team up in New York City called Old Blue. I got to play for the U.S. for a little bit actually as well, so that was a cool experience. So,
actually, you know what? Now that we're talking about this, I went on a retreat with Joe a couple years ago, and we had an event there where we were competing against 2 or 3 teams, and Joe was on my team, and I believe we won that championship as well. So I've won a championship with Joe.
That's awesome.
Have you?
I have never had the opportunity or privilege. But I'll tell you what, we will have the opportunity and privilege to thrive together and win championships, because one of the things that we also wanted to kind of talk about and announce is our new partnership that we're going to have together. And so for those of you who might not know, it'd be pretty hard for you to not, but just in case. So along with the roofing company, we have a couple of other businesses, one of which is Supplement and Claim Pros that Aaron and I, along with gentleman Aaron Pullen, started about a year and a half ago. And this supplementing company, we were really faced with a decision because we were working with a large organization that really, they were kind of going after the low-hanging fruit from a supplementing perspective. And so we decided to make a change, and we brought in another organization that did great for us, but we just kind of began to internalize more and to dream really more about what it could be. And so rather than just starting a department within the roofing company for ourselves, we actually decided to turn it into a business. And what we're really excited about in what we've originally started, and then also by bringing Joe into this, is you've got a supplement company. So whether you're a roofer, whether you, let me just say, whatever industry you're in, if you work with insurance companies, we want to help serve you and help maximize the value for your customer and your customer relationship. And we're coming about it from a standpoint of obviously Aaron founded Indy Roof Company, understands that component and that background. Aaron Poland owns one of the largest public adjusting firms in the country. My business development background, like we all decided to dream this thing up together.
If you could have a dream team, I think that's the starting point. I think that was really a good team, because everybody had their own, the people running the day-to-day operations have their own backgrounds. So not only do we, now that it's when we're taking on clients and going through this, not only when I talk to them, or whoever talks to them on the onboarding side, we don't just say, hey, this is what we can do for you, which is great, because when we were having somebody else do it, we were at a 9% overage. We're at between 19 to 21% overages now, and that's pure profit. So you're talking about 10% additional of pure profit. That's why we've talked about it before. In 2012, I think we did a little bit less. I'm sorry, not 2012, 2022.
Yeah.
We did
it was like 2012.
Yeah, we did less than the year before, and we almost doubled. Or I'm sorry, 23. I'm getting confused, but either way, we did less.
2024 right now.
I know, dude.
March 1st.
Where am I at? What city am I in? So it was in 22. We actually, when we started doing this for ourselves, we did less revenue by almost $1 million and almost doubled the profit. Right.
Wow.
By starting this and by focusing on this.
Yes. And so, it makes a massive difference. But on top of that, I've learned so many things from running my edit into different supplementing items. And I used to supplement everything myself. And then we had companies, and I figured out how customers take advantage of you. I figured out how companies take advantage of you. So not only do we help you make more money, but I help you avoid the same issues that I've been dealing with over and over again, like paying out on customer supplements, and then they don't do it, and then paying the supplementing company, and then the customer decides to back out. Like, we got fixes for all of them. So I try to really help people as a whole, and not just say, hey, we're going to help you make more money.
Yeah, and so you have that component, and then Aaron Poland, again, owns one of the largest public adjusting firms in the country, and then he also worked for an insurance carrier who I won't say their name. I will just say that Aaron is one of those guys.
It rhymes with Slate Flarm.
I was gonna say, he's just like a good neighbor.
Yeah.
But now we're super excited because we said, all right, we've got this thing going, and we did, I think, 1 or 2 Facebook posts and have been helping some additional companies. So of course we wanted to kind of work out the kinks. So for a little over a year, we just did Indy Roof Company through these processes and doing the supplementing and all of that kind of stuff. Then we made, I think, 1 or 2 posts. Aaron specifically made 1 or 2 posts on social media. And I think we got in an additional 9 clients from several different states.
Kind of started to grow from there.
So it's kind of starting to grow. But then we said, you know what? And just like everything that we really do in business, where we feel so blessed to lead the companies that we do, we don't just want to kind of keep those things for ourselves. We want to be able to give back. Like you said, like, you're never going to retire. We're kind of in that same spot. We kind of always want to give back. We've been able to see some amazing success in different things. And so this is one of those components where it's like, we want to share this with the masses as well. And so again, we just kind of went back to the dream room, if I can say it that way, and said, we want to talk specifically to a guy about partnering with us in this business to kind of share the gospel a little bit more about what's going on and all that. And there was only really one person that we thought of, and it was you. And we started having conversation, and next thing you know, we finally figured out how to twist your arm. No, I'm just kidding. But so we're really excited. Congratulations and welcome to the team. We're super excited to have you a part of the journey.
And I do want to clarify this real quick, because it was the same thing when he said that. And we've never told you this. You don't know this. But he said, hey, we're trying to figure this out. And when we talked to you, you were the only person that we thought that met the same core values that we have. And we were so excited to invite you to be a partner in it. And I want to thank you for accepting that, because I'm really looking forward to working with somebody with the same vision.
Yeah, I am too. Awesome. I mean, I'm honored to be here. That's why I wanted to come out and do it in person. And when you first reached out, Aaron, going back to core focus or your mission statement, like, in my head, I was like, no, because we have our core focus as a business, and I don't have shiny object syndrome and things like that. But I give it some more thought, and obviously we've had a relationship for many years, as friends and, working together and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And one of our parts of our core focus is equipping people and companies with the tools to transform and grow. And there's a lot of bad service providers.
That fits right in there.
Really?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome.
All right. So, there's a lot of bad service providers out there that take advantage of contracting companies. And that's why we're so focused on education. So it was like a perfect fit, and talked to our leadership team about it, got some feedback, because I try not to make decisions on my own. Right. And yeah, I'm honored as well. I mean, the values are there. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So you'll see and hear more from all of us really on what it is, and just like we've approached from all the different industries and businesses that we've each been a part of, we're focused on smart growth for you, and then also, of course, for your customer as well. And truly, what our desire is to maximize that value for you and your client as you navigate the insurance restoration process. And so this is not going to be something where we want to take on 1 million new clients and give subpar performance and only go after that low-hanging fruit because we've been involved in that organization or those types of organizations. And that's just not what we're interested in doing. And so we're really, really excited to bring a quality and value-based product to you and to your clients, like I said, as you're navigating that insurance restoration project.
Yeah, and I will say too, and I'll give a shout out here to Dustin Bigler. When I started, and he didn't know me at all, and he spent an hour on the phone with me, just going through different things. And eventually I went out and visited him at his office, and we kept in touch. We became really good friends, but I would have probably had a lot more struggles if it wasn't for him. So thank you for that. And I now, in his memory, would like to be able to help other people doing the same thing. And that's part of the reason that I talked about it earlier. Like, I try to give people this advice and tips on things that, like, I've ran into these problems. I know how people take advantage of it. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, and I don't mean on supplement. This isn't a pitch for that at all. I mean on anything. And you guys have questions. How do you do these different things? Or I may be able to help you. I may not. But I'll be happy to help you if I can and give you the advice that I have available to me. So.
It almost sounds like you're dedicated to adding value to the lives of those you interact with. See what we did there? See how this works in every component, people?
And I've heard that is at least one of our clients, probably multiple, but reached out to you, not because I told him to, because knows you and you spent some time with him. I forget who it was, but
yeah.
So I know that Aaron does that.
Yeah, I've talked to quite a few people, and I enjoy it. I love talking business.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah,
as long as everybody's like respectful of the things that we have going on and whatnot. But I absolutely love talking about business. I love helping people. I love helping people avoid issues that I've already dealt with.
Yes.
There's nothing better than that, because it's like your parents tell you this, but you don't listen as a kid. Like, learn from my mistakes. And I'm like, whatever, nerd, you don't know anything. And then now I'm like, shit, my dad was smart. He'd been through it.
The older I get, the smarter I realize my parents are. Or something.
Exactly. So like, we're all adults here. If you guys have a company, I'm assuming you're probably an adult. You can realize that, hey, I can learn from other people's mistakes. And then I'll tell you what, too, on top of that, I typically learn something from all these people I talk to. So it's not a one-way street, because like I said, I've only been in it 6 years. I've learned, like, I went in head first and just like drinking through a garden hose for 6 years, I feel like. But I've came into contact with a lot of people that I've learned a lot from. You guys as well, both of you, and then a lot of other people. And so I've taken the approach where, hey, this works for me from you, and then Adam's taught me a ton from the leadership side that I was truly lacking, because I'm a sales and marketing guy.
Yeah.
And then Adam came in and I learned every day from him, and other roofing contractors and other people in the industry. And I think it's important I think that's probably one of the reasons that we became successful very quickly, because I was new to the industry and I didn't come in from another company and just do things the way that they did it. I was like, how do we do this? And let me figure out the best ways. Yeah. And so I started going through literally everything and figuring out the best ways to do things. and took what fit me. And there's still things that I learn, and there's still things every single day that I can learn. And there's a lot of things that I've learned where people have been doing things a standardized way, where I can maybe help them. So I love having those conversations because it's mutually beneficial most of the time.
I agree. Yeah. There's a book out there right now that's pretty popular. It's called Who Not How. Have you guys heard of it? Benjamin J. Hardy.
But I started 75 Hard this morning, and I need a book list.
I got them right here.
So Who Not How, Benjamin J. Hardy, amazing book. I read it 3 times last year because I'm one of those guys. I don't want to read 52 books a year. I'd rather read 15 and go and implement. But it's like, I don't need to figure out how to do this. I need to find a who that knows how to do it. Or I need to find a who that can help me like shortcut that process, or not shortcut. I hate that word, but like minimize that learning curve.
Yeah.
Do it in the best possible way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Right.
That's awesome, man. What an awesome time. We've covered a lot of ground in the last hour, and I think probably now is a good time to wrap it up. But thank you again so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me
and being here with us. Thank you, of course, audience, for tuning in and listening and watching. Please make sure that you do like and subscribe, hit that notification button whenever we post new content. And then also just a couple reminders, give us some comments on some things that you'd like to hear us discuss. And then also feel free to reach out to us should you want any help from that org clarity development, or even just some business advice if you're in the industry and want to hear. We'd love to help out as best we possibly can. So until we meet next time, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, I think the best possible way to reach out to me is probably Facebook. So I'm pretty active on there. I have the other ones, but I don't pay too much attention to them. So if you guys have any questions on any of that stuff he talked about, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to help.
All right, guys. As promised, bringing you something a little bit different today on our Nailed It show with Aaron and Adam. We had a range of topics there, some personal development, some organizational development, new announcements, business talk, playing harder, and I had a lot of fun, so hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Send it to someone that you think would find value in this content, share with your team, and make sure that you're not only listening or watching, but implementing some of these things that we discussed today, because they've been game changers for our businesses and a lot of businesses that we interact with. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.